The label gifted was the most expensive compliment you ever received. And you've been paying for it ever since. Every project you start tomorrow instead of today, every application you almost submit, every idea you shelve before it breathes, those are interest payments on a debt someone else signed you up for. By the end of this, you'll understand the exact mechanism running underneath your procrastination. And it has nothing to do with laziness. In 1998, Carol Dweck ran a study at Stanford that should have changed how every adult speaks to a child. Fifth graders took a nonverbal IQ test. After the first round, one group heard 6 words: "You must be really smart." The other group heard 5: "You must have worked hard." 1 sentence. That was the entire intervention. The smart praised kids fell apart. On harder follow-up tests, their performance dropped 20%. The effort praised kids improved by 30%. Same children, same test, same room. A single sentence of praise bent the trajectory. But the detail that should keep you up at night is this. When given a chance to anonymously report their scores, nearly 40% of the intelligence-praised children lied. They inflated their numbers. 10-year-olds fabricating results because the alternative, admitting they struggled, would crack the story someone had just written on their forehead. Dweck put it plainly. 1 sentence of intelligence praise made children care more about looking smart than about learning. Challenges became threats. Effort became evidence of inadequacy. And if you were one of those kids who breezed through elementary school hearing, "You're so smart," on repeat, that sentence wasn't said once. It was said hundreds of times, thousands maybe. Each one, another brick in a wall you're still standing behind. This brings up a question worth sitting with. If trying hard means you might fail, and failing means you're a fraud, what's the safest move? The answer your nervous system already calculated for you. Never fully try. Psychologists have a clinical term for this: self-handicapping. It means placing obstacles in your own path so that failure can be blamed on circumstances rather than ability. Didn't study enough, started too late, was too tired, too busy, too distracted. Every excuse functions as armor around one core belief: I could have done it if I'd really tried. That belief is the most protected asset in your psychological portfolio, because I could have is infinitely safer than I did my best and it fell short. Potential, untested, stays perfect forever. The moment you cash it in, you get a real number. And real numbers can disappoint. Research from the ERIC database spells it out with uncomfortable clarity. Procrastination allows people to attribute poor performance to delay rather than a possible indication of their lack of talent. The excuse protects the self from being hurt. Your brain isn't broken. It's running a flawless protection protocol, one that happens to cost you everything you actually want. Angel Martinez was identified as gifted at age 5. She read at a 9th grade level, abstract reasoning of a 13-year-old. She passed entrance exams to all 4 top Philippine universities without prep school. Her own words, "I didn't even have to try hard." Then freshman year arrived, and the floor opened beneath her. She expected to keep shining. Instead, she hit the first real challenge of her life with 0 tools for handling it. That transition shock, effortless dominance, followed by sudden collapse, shows up in the research over and over. Up to 50% of identified gifted students underachieve at some point. 10 to 20% of high school dropouts come from the gifted population. The kids who are supposed to go furthest are disproportionately the ones who stop. William James worked out the math in 1890. Self-esteem equals success divided by pretensions. Pretensions meaning what you believe about your own potential. When someone installs gifted into your identity at age 6, your pretensions skyrocket. They're set by adults, locked in place before you can evaluate them. Now, every real-world achievement gets divided by an enormous denominator. A good result feels mediocre. A great result feels expected. And anything less than extraordinary, registers as proof that the label was wrong all along. The mathematically rational move, James noted, is to lower your pretensions, shrink the denominator. But here's where the trap seals shut. Lowering your expectations of yourself feels like admitting the label was a lie, and the label is fused to your sense of being loved. Think about when you got the most attention as a kid. The A+, the teachers pulling your parents aside, the special program invitation. For many former gifted kids, love and validation arrived packaged with performance. Strip away the performance, and a quiet terror whispers, "What's left to love?" That's why procrastination in this context carries an existential weight most productivity advice completely misses. You're preserving evidence of lovability. A task management app can't touch that. The neuroscience confirms what the psychology predicts. Every time you avoid a challenge to protect your self-concept, you strengthen the neural pathways that make avoidance automatic. The anterior cingulate cortex processes ego threats through the same circuits it uses for physical pain. Your brain genuinely cannot distinguish between "this task might reveal I'm average" and "something is about to hurt me." The avoidance becomes self-reinforcing, increasingly automatic, less like a choice and more like a reflex you never consciously install. Critics of neuroplasticity research point out that the brain's flexibility decreases after 25. They're right. But decreases is a long way from stops. The same reinforcement mechanism that entrenched the avoidance pattern can build a different one. The circuitry is biased toward existing habits, and it still responds to new input. Here's what the research actually points toward as a way through. Growth mindset alone won't do it. Studies show that even people with growth mindsets self-handicap when their self-worth is contingent on performance. The root is the contingency itself, the belief that your value as a person fluctuates with your output. Severing that link is the real work. The question to sit with is, who are you on a day when you produce nothing impressive? If that question creates a flicker of panic, you've located the wire. The perfectionism spiral keeps this locked in place. High standards generate fear that any attempt will fall short. Fear generates delay. Delay forces rushed, imperfect work under deadline pressure. The imperfect result confirms that trying is dangerous. The loop tightens. Chronic self-handicappers follow a documented cycle: failure, self-handicapping, deeper failure, achieving progressively less over time. The strategy designed to protect potential slowly destroys it. The shield becomes the wound. You didn't choose this architecture. A 5-year-old can't consent to an identity. Adults who needed you to be gifted, teachers filling program quotas, parents processing their own unlived possibilities, handed you a story and called it a compliment. You've been curating your entire life around a narrative someone else authored before you could read. The procrastination, the half-started projects, the ideas that never leave the Notes app, those are the cost of maintaining a fiction. And the fiction has an expiration date, because potential without action decays into regret, quietly, then all at once. You can start by doing one thing badly on purpose, submitting something unpolished, letting a first draft be ugly. Each time you act without the safety net of, "I wasn't really trying," you cast a vote for a different identity, one built on what you do rather than what you theoretically could. The votes are small, they accumulate. And unlike the gifted label, you're the one filling out the ballot.